Hello, and welcome to the course curriculum overview. My mission is to teach you network automation with Python to the level where you can get hired, get a promotion, or you simply become more efficient at your daily job. Before we start it, we'll have an insight on what this course will cover and how you can get the most out of it. This course has more than 200 HD videos, challenges for you to solve with answers, and tons of quizzes. I want you to be aware that all the videos are high definition quality, so if it happens to see them blurry, then it's not from the video itself, but from the streaming, provider server infrastructure, or internet connection. Try to select the quality of the video manually in the player or get in touch with me to see how to solve it. What is the best path to be successful in this course? Before diving into network automation, you need to have basic knowledge of general Python programming. You need to be confident in using Python syntax, strings, lists, dictionaries, working with files, flow control, or functions. If this is not the case and you are here without having any prior experience with Python, there is no need to panic. At the end of the course, I've added lots of sections which are named Python Programming, where I teach you basic Python programming from scratch. Watch those videos, practice simultaneously with me, and you'll learn all about Python key concepts. After you are done with it, or if you already know some basic Python programming, you can continue with the actual network automation part, so from the beginning of the course. Let's get ahead and see how I've structured the sections in this course. The first one is course introduction, and it also contains the lecture you are watching right now. In this section, you'll find out why is network automation with Python important and what is the direction of the network industry in the second decade of the new millennium. Here, in the course resource section, you'll find available for you to download all Python scripts that later on will be developed in this course. You'll also find out how to join the private and active community with thousands of members just like you. I'll also be there every day to answer your questions. Next, I'll show you step by step how to set up the lab environment. You'll learn how to install Python and the PyCharm IDE if you're a beginner, how to install GNS3 on Windows, Linux or Mac, and how to run and connect to Cisco images inside GNS3. A Linux VM is also required for Linux automation tasks. At the end of this section, you'll have a working development environment appropriate for this course. Of course, you can skip this section if you have already installed Python and GNS3, you have loaded Cisco IOS in GNS3, and everything works well together. In the next section, I'll show you how to work with text files in Python. This is more like a general Python programming section than a network automation one, but I consider it as a prerequisite to become efficient in network automation. Most configurations of professional devices like routers, switches, or Linux servers are saved as text files, so it's important for you to know how to read from or write to those files in order to work with configs. In this section, I'll teach you all you need to know about working with text files, including the CSV module. At the end, you'll find some quizzes to test your understanding. Of course, if you already know that, you can skip that section entirely. Next, we'll dive deep into JSON, REST API, and data serialization. This is an important topic when it comes to modern network infrastructures, as they use APIs and the JSON format to retrieve or push configurations. Next, we'll learn about network automation using SSH and how to connect to networking devices and Linux servers from Python. We'll use the standard Paramico module to run commands on Linux servers and on Cisco devices. I'll show you how to backup the configuration of multiple devices, how to configure multiple servers, or even advanced concepts such as how to implement multi-threading for higher efficiency. This section is really useful because we'll develop our own module named MyParamico, and our work will be much simplified. At the end of this section, we'll create a script that uses SCP to copy files to or from Linux servers or other devices that support it. You'll test your knowledge with tens of hands-on real-world challenges with solutions. I find this really important for you to deeply understand what you've just learned. The next section is about Nedmico, which is one of the most useful Python library used in network automation. I'll show you many live examples on how to configure Cisco devices, Linux servers, how to backup the configuration, how to send commands from a file, or how to use multi-threading for concurrent execution in order to overcome the speed limitation of Python. There's also a practical example where I show you how to configure a multi-vendor topology that consists of Cisco and Arista devices. This will end with tens of hands-on coding exercises for you to solve. The next section is about Napalm, which means Network Automation and Programmability Abstraction Layer with multi-vendor support. We'll see how to use Napalm in a multi-platform environment, how to retrieve information from devices, and how to manage configuration files. Then, we'll move on to the Telnet library. You'll learn how to connect to a device using Telnet, how to run commands from Python scripts, and how to automate simple tasks. Here, we'll develop and test our own Python class that uses the telnetlib module to simplify device configuration. You'll also understand what is an object of type bytes, how it differs from a string, and how to decode from bytes to string and to encode from string to bytes using a well-known encoding scheme. And as usual, you'll have tens of challenges to practice the skills you've just acquired. Afterwards, we have a section on automating the configuration using serial connections to the console port of networking devices. You'll learn how to connect to a console port, how to run commands from Python, and how to initially configure a device. We'll develop our own module that uses the PySerial module in order to simplify the configuration. The following two sections, offered as a kind of bonus, are about Ansible, which is an IT automation tool used by big companies like Cisco, Juniper, Twitter, or even NASA. You'll see how to install Ansible, what are Ansible components, and how to run Ansible ad hoc commands on Cisco devices or Linux servers. In the second part, we'll talk about YAML files and Ansible playbooks. We'll develop, test, and run playbooks that automate configurations of Cisco, Arista, or Linux machines. At the end, you'll have a good understanding of how to use Ansible playbooks in order to automate simple or complex tasks in a multi-vendor networking environment. The final part of this course consists of more than 6 hours of in-depth general Python programming. If you are a beginner in Python, or if you want to recap some core Python concepts, these sections are for you. Please start the course from this point if you are a complete beginner in Python. We'll take a deep dive into core Python concepts like variables, operators, flow control, lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries, functions, errors and exceptions, and so on. You'll learn general Python programming from scratch. And that's not all. I'll add new content regularly and I'll update the existing one. That's the entire curriculum course overview, so let's go ahead and get started with the course. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lecture.